In today's video, I'm going to give you my 2 cents when it comes to storytelling in job interviews. And I'll be looking at first at the pros and then at the cons of storytelling, and then make a brief conclusion on this. The first pro of storytelling is, I believe, interpreted to be in telephonic screening rounds. Like during the telephone screen, you cannot see your interviewer, so it's very important that you speak well, so they say. In my opinion, a better word for storytelling in that specific scenario would be rapport. That is, the better the rapport that you build with the other interviewer, the better the outcome will be during a phone interview, especially, where I agree, to a certain extent, it can be a gamble. But this would be there's this perception, and many coaches and even recruiters are recommending that yes, you must get good at storytelling at all costs during this round. So again, in my opinion, it's rapport building rather than storytelling. The other pro of storytelling is actually a genuine scenario where it's a core competency for the role that you're applying for. For example, salespeople or directors, or public policy roles. These people are supposed to be experts at sustorytelling, and maybe an exception here would be that I coached salespeople applying successfully for AWS roles, and they didn't shine to me at storytelling. They did shine to me at the type of the quality of their answers, but not because of the storytelling, but rather because of the information that they were talking about. So this would be the first pros of storytelling. When first in the phone interview, when I call it rapport building, and the second one, it's a core competency for the role. Now the cons of storytelling, and I believe this is where the interesting stuff begins. The most important success factor in a job interview is the on-site, not the phone screening round, right? So the on-site is where the real difference between candidates is being made. During the on-site, in my opinion, it's all about making sense. Because, if you think you can pull through with storytelling for 5 rounds with 5 different people in a job interview, I think you are underestimating the quality of the interviewers in the first place. Another very important topic here is that there's a significant number of candidates who are actually excellent storytellers. Probably some of them wouldn't even realize this, and which they prefer to even spend even more time to become better at storytelling, when in fact they'd rather invest their time on the information that they transmit and preparing, the content for the actual interview. And this is another, kind of distraction, going and preparing for an interview. And of course, it's a waste of time, because this is the number one complaint that any candidate has going in interviewing with these companies, and especially for behavioral questions. I don't have time. Well, yes, time is something very valuable in these things, but if you invest in storytelling, it's very likely to be a unsuccessful investment in my opinion. This would be the first significant part of why storytelling can be a dangerous approach in many cases. And the other very important point I wanted to make here is during the actual interview. Like some candidates are under the impression that if I try to be good at storytelling during the actual performance, I will be looked at as, he speaks well, so we're going to hire him. Which, let's say that would be the approach that you employ. Now, what happens if someone would interview you and they ask you a question, like even before they finished formulating the question, you would start thinking, how can I better storytell my answer to this question? Let's assume you already have an answer. And the problem with this is, first of all, you're not supposed to be a great storyteller, or even if you are, that's fine with you. But is this the best approach, to answer a question to storytell it in the best way possible? I would argue that it's not. And I would argue, again, like in my previous point with the it's on whether the information that you're communicating is the most relevant for the answer that you have. And they already give you the template that they want. They already give you that star format. So so long as you fit into that star format, and you add some numbers, and you don't forget to talk about the results, there's not much else to talk about here in terms of storytelling. Now the problem is that the risk, if you go with the storytelling way, the number one risk is you won't come across as genuine, and then you're done in these job interviews. If they don't trust you, especially during these times, I don't believe you have any chance. If you don't sound genuine to them, that's a big problem. Or even worse, you come across as arrogant because you're using words that don't go well with your communication style. This is also very much possible. And the simplest example is tell me about yourself. Like many people who have had this scripted, it won't sound genuine. So someone who does this all day long will immediately spot this. So it's again not to your favor. So then why would be storytelling a great approach with these things? So all in all, in my opinion, the main takeaway of this whole video and of whole this discussion about storytelling is that the most important thing in a job interview that you can do is to make sense.